had also pity. Pity means karuna, kindness. Man had also pity, right? And man was very happy in the state of nature, satisfying his needs and desire, whatever needs from the nature, and had no morality, no virtue, because they don't need it, right? They had no something we call region. No, man had no region, rationality, nothing. They were free, right? Man and woman come closer as a causal relationship, right? Fine, and then they separate, right? And woman used to take care of the children. What is the difference between man and man and animal, human and animal? Man, has freedom, will to freedom. Again, animal has same value. It's Rousseau, right? Man has desire for perfectibility. I agree on him. Man has desire for perfectibility, to do better, right? Isn't it? And the one generation transfer the other generation, whatever knowledge is, right? And how we become more updated, more perfect. We cannot be perfect, but we can be updated. We can tend to perfect. Here you can see Aristotle. To desire. Now perhaps, hey, good morning, Harsh, Khyati, Raghav, Khyati, you're there. Shobhit, I thought you will be here. Hi, Sheetal, good morning. So I thought I was early 3 minutes, so I started, talking about yesterday that state of nature. Right? And what happened? Certain natural calamities. Some natural calamity forced man to stay in nearby, closer. Right? Now man started confronting each other more often. Now family come. Family came. Now man has more responsibility. Because you have family, more responsibility. But still man were free. Still man were free. Right? They learn language, they learn speech, they learn value, all they learn living. But in this, sphere, a person came and, zeroed the land. Person came and encircled the land. Right? Hindi में बोलते घेर लो, हाँ? और English में भी है घेरौड. Have you heard of the word? नहीं, English में भी है. बहुत सारे हिंदी वर्ड इंग्लिश बन गए हैं. और बहुत सारे इंग्लिश वर्ड हिंदी बन गए, जैसे लाइक बटन. Do you know the Hindi meaning of button? Button. What is the meaning Hindi of button? Because हमने इंग्लिश में उसको है, कुछ है मीनिंग. अच्छा, रिक्शा जिसको बोलते हम लोग, what is the meaning of rickshaw? Right, someone may know, right? It's called Trichakravahini something. Right? So, for example, get out the land. Encircle the land and said, this is my land. This man is originator of civil society. Right? He is also originator of private property. He is originator of society, not civil society, society. And private property. And also social inequality. क्योंकि प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी ही इनइक्वालिटी को जन्म देता है. Property has given birth to the inequality. Right? And what happened? The other man also followed encircling the land. In the due course of land, everything was encircled. Nothing left. But those people who have less skill, right, were not able to get out. Now this property had given man to reason. This property has given man reason, rationality, how to secure it, how to do it, right? There was a constant threat, danger, because men were competitors in acquiring property, right? And at certain stage of time, the propertied class thought, my property is in danger. They also realized the vulnerable situation of the poor. Now what they did a social contract between rich and poor. Through this social contract, state emerged. Through this social contract, it means Rousseau justifying the social contract of Hobbes and Locke. Right? Through this social contract, state evolved. Now this state, because state is possessed by stronger class. Right? This contract, right, recognize the property of rich and vulnerability of the poor. Right? But this again, that continued, that you can say struggle, conflict between rich and poor, haves and haves not, that continues, still is there. Right? And once upon a time, it may increase. You can see the revolt of any state, social movement. What was the French Revolution? The French Revolution was a revolution of poor against the rich. I'm talking about in terms of property. What was the French Revolution? French Revolution was a revolution of the poor against the rich. Right? Then if this is a situation, this is a struggle, very painful situation, then what to do? Either we can go back to the state of nature, or we can invent a system. Going back to nature is not possible. Going again back to the nature, it's not possible. Then we have to invent a system. What is that system? Again, we have to do social contract. You have already know, right? Through social contract, we construct a body politic that he called general will, and he said every human being have two kinds of will. We will talk about now. Fine. ठीक है, कोई कंफ्यूजन तो नहीं है कल वाले में? शीतल, कोई सवाल है? इवन वर्ड भी समझ में नहीं आई, पूछिए. ठीक है, हो सकता है कुछ वर्ड आपने लिख लिया, अरे सर ने क्या बोला, बाद में गूगल में देख लेंगे, डिक्शनरी में देख लेंगे, आप देख सकते हो, फाइन. बट हो सकता है कि आप ढूंढ रहे हो कुछ, मीनिंग आ गया कुछ, तो सेंटेंस का मतलब हो गया कुछ. आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? इट्स नॉट दैट आपने कुछ ढूंढा, वर्ड मैंने लिखवाया, आपने टाइप किया, वो ऑटो करेक्ट होता है ना गूगल में, तो दूसरा वर्ड लेके आ गया उसी सिनोनिम टाइप का, सुनने में जैसा सेम लग रहा है, बट वो मतलब कुछ और दे दिया, आपका सेंटेंस का मतलब ही बदल जाएगा. होता है ना? It doesn't happen. It does happen? Yeah. So even if you don't understand the word, ask, sir, what does this word mean? Right? Even a word can change the entire meaning of the sentence. Fine. Okay. Now I should start. Raghav, Shobit, Khyati, Harshita and Harsh. Yeah. So general will कल बात कर रहे थे. Let's talk about general will. Without. So हमने कल पिक्चर बना लिया था, नहीं बनाया था, राइट? एक दो पिक्चर बनाना है मुझे. उसके बाद एक तो ये बनाइए, human will, right? And it has two will. Every human being have two will. One is called actual will, or particular will. Second is real will. Right? Actual भी real जैसा word लग रहा है, similar लग रहा है ना? Actual और real में कोई अंतर नहीं है, but इन्होंने अंतर किया है. यहाँ पे particular लिख लीजिए. अब ये थोड़ा सा मतलब दे रहा है कि particular will मतलब इंसान अपने लिए सोच रहा है. Right? Particular will, Now, this is particular will is, it is a immediate lower self. It is a selfish, or you can say lower self. It is motivated by selfishness, lower self, right? It is changeable. पर्टिकुलर विल चेंज होता है ना, आज मुझे बाइक चाहिए, कल गाड़ी चाहिए, परसों BMW चाहिए, हाँ, इट इज चेंजेबल, राइट, फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम, और चेंजेस, you can write changes from time to time, changeable or changes, better word, changes from time to time, changes, changes from time to time, right? Particular will changes. Now it also differ from individual to individual, right? मुझे पिज्जा चाहिए, दिलीप को क्या चाहिए? दिलीप लस्सी, हाँ, लस्सी चाहिए, किसी को कुछ और चाहिए, है ना? और differ from individual to individual, from individual to individual, ठीक है? ये पर्टिकुलर विल बदलता रहता है, ये लोअर सेल्फ गाइडेड होता है, ये चेंज करता है, टाइम टू टाइम बदलता है, and then it also differ from individual to individual, right? For example, if I say ki what is my will about my driving, my transportation, someone may say I will have scooter, someone may say bike, someone may say car, someone may say no, I will travel by bus or metro or whatever the public transport is there, isn't it? Now if you see the real will, it is a guided by higher self, it is guided by higher self, right? It is a stable, एक बदलता नहीं है, it is a stable, it is a collective interest, collective interest, हो सकता है वो मेरे लिए भी सेम हो, आपके लिए भी सेम हो, सबके लिए सेम हो, कलेक्टिव, ये इंटरेस्ट है, हाँ, ऐसे लिख दीजिएगा, इंटरेस्ट, जगह कम है, या, एंड इट इज कॉमन टू ऑल, common to all, right? Common to all. Fine, got the idea? So each human will has two parts, or each soul has two parts. Now let me talk about in terms of soul, right? The lower self and the higher self. If we see the higher self, mine, Arjun's, Khyati, you, right, Sarthak, Dilip, everyone, self will be the same. It doesn't differ, right? And what is general will? General will is collection of the real will. So ये तो एक human will हो गया. अब आइए general will. ये तो ह्यूमन विल हो गया, एक इंसान का. जनरल विल, यू कैन राइट समेशन ऑफ रियल विल ऑफ ऑल. Can we write in that like summation? Yeah, Sheetal, can we write like this? Addition of all real will. Now you can draw a picture like this. Right, so here's the center, put here. This is all real will, right? And this real will right? So all real will put together and that it will construct a general will. ठीक है? यहाँ पे आप अगर जनरल विल, ये जो है ये जनरल विल है. ठीक है? और सबका पर्टिकुलर विल बाहर की तरफ. ये है जनरल विल और ये है पर्टिकुलर विल. सब पर्टिकुलर विल. Now you got the idea? Yeah, making sense? Yeah, it's very simple. Now you write. Right. Rousseau proposed the idea of general will. Rousseau proposed the idea of general will Rousseau proposed the idea of general will, which is a body politic. Which is a body politic. Which is a body politic. The general will is addition of all real will. The general will is the addition of all real will. Right? It is a highly abstract concept. It is a highly abstract concept. नहीं लग रहा कि यार कुछ रियल में ऐसा होगा क्या? It's a really abstract concept. Right? Rousseau divided human will into two parts. Rousseau divided human will into two parts. First, actual will / particular will. First, actual or particular will. It is guided by the lower self of human being due to self-interest. It is guided by the lower self of human being due to self-interest. Or egoism. Egoism. Right? It changes from time to time. It changes from time to time and differ from person to person. And differ from person to person. एक चीज और बता देता हूं, लैंग्वेज में आपको लगे कि कुछ वर्ड मैंने छूट गया है, ये जो मैं आपको नोट देता हूं ना, ठीक है, सारा लैंग्वेज यहां पे लिखा हुआ है. राइट? आपको गूगल नहीं, आपको ये ढूंढना पड़ चाहिए. ठीक है? उसके बाद ना मिले तो मुझे पकड़िए. नाउ सेकंड लिखिए. सेकंड इज रियल विल. ये तो पहला था हमारा. सेकंड लिखिए रियल विल. It is guided by the higher self of human being, it is guided by the higher self of human being, and it has universality. It has universality. It has universality. मतलब ये universal है, सबका same होगा, right? It, ये लिख दिया, it is guided by the higher self. It has universality. It is stable. It is stable and collective interest. It is a stable and collective interest. For example, the idea of public good. For example में ऐसे देना है, E G लिख दो और यहाँ पे public good लिख दो, right? It is common to all individuals. It is common to all individuals, hence common to the society. Common to the society. कहीं पे एग्जाम्पल देना हो, ईजी लिख करके आप कुछ भी लिख दीजिए, उससे पहले कॉमा, उसके बाद कॉमा, ठीक है? ये ध्यान में रखना। जब हम आंसर लिखते हैं, लैंग्वेज पे आपका एक कमांड, वो एक्सपेक्टेशन रखते हैं कि आप जो लैंग्वेज लिखें उसमें थोड़ा कुछ मैनर है, वो मैनर को ध्यान में रखें, राइट? नहीं तो पढ़ने वाला इरिटेट ना हो जाए आपके आंसर को देख करके, तो उसी वक्त फिर वो बिठा देगा। देखिए, खत्म हो गया ना ये हमारा कॉमन टू द सोसाइटी। नाउ चेंज द पैरा एंड राइट द जनरल विल इज समेशन टू, the general will is summation to the real will of all members of the society. The general will is the summation of real will of all members of the society. Right? You can make this picture now. अगर बना लिया है तो कोई बात नहीं, जब आंसर लिखना है तो आप बताना, राइट? बिकॉज इट शोज, राइट? और फिगर के थ्रू ये बता देना, आप इसके ऊपर या नीचे ये लिख देना, जनरल विल इज इक्वल टू रियल विल समेशन ऑफ ऑल, राइट? देखिए, इन सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, कंटिन्यू इन सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट each individual submits their particular will. Each individual submits their particular will and accepts real will. And accepts real will of all and of each. समझ में आया? हर इंसान पर्टिकुलर विल को सबमिट कर देगा और रियल जो विल है सबका और हर एक का, वो उसको एक्सेप्ट करेगा, राइट? इट वुड क्रिएट अ बॉडी पॉलिटिक. It would create a body politics that would be source of freedom and authority. Source of freedom and authority for each person. समझ में आया जनरल विल? नाउ जनरल विल इज ओवर. किसको समझ में नहीं आया? आ गया? यस, ख्याति, राघव, शोभित, हर्षिता, हर्ष. Clear hai? Okay, fine. Then I will move ahead. Now, what is characteristics of this general will? Right? Features of general will. Or salient features. Salient मतलब होता है important. Right? Salient features of general will. ठीक है? Salient features of general will. अच्छा, जनरल विल तो हमने क्रिएट कर दिया, बॉडी पॉलिटिक क्रिएट कर दिया. राइट? फर्स्ट लिखेगा, इट इज अ कलेक्टिव विल ऑफ ऑल. It is a collective will of all, and source of all law, authority, and power. Right? Authority and power. Second point. Everyone would participate. Everyone would participate in making legislation, and each one would obey it. Everyone will participate in making legislation, any law, and each one would obey it. हर इंसान को पार्टिसिपेट करना है उस लॉ को बनाने में, and each one will obey it. Fine. Third लिखिए, it is the expression of sovereign power. It is the expression of sovereign power. ये it किसके लिए यूज कर रहा हूं मैं? जनरल विल के लिए. फाइन. It is a expression of sovereign power. Fine. Fourth लिखिए, it is unalienable. It is unalienable. Unalienable. मतलब इसको कोई दूसरा और नहीं ले सकता. Your right to life is your unalienable right. आपकी लाइफ को कोई और नहीं ले सकता. You have sole authority over your right to life. उस सेंस में यूज करते हैं. It is unalienable. बॉडी पॉलिटिक्स कोई और नहीं कह सकता. कोई नहीं बोलेगा अच्छा इसको हटाओ, मैं ही जनरल विल हूं. Right? It is unalienable. Right? Next, the general will. कौन था? 5th होना है था या 6th था? ये 5 है. हाँ. The general will harmonizes the interest of each. The general will harmonizes the interest of each with interest of all. The general will harmonizes interest of each with interest of all. Right? Next, the general will is instrumental in realizing larger freedom. Realizing larger freedom. The general will is instrumental in realizing larger freedom. Right? Next. 6th now? 7th? Okay, say right 7th. If someone or group does not follow the general will, if someone or group does not follow the general will, comma, Rousseau said, man can be forced to free. Man can be forced to be free. Man can be forced to be free. Man can be forced to free. अगर जनरल विल नहीं मानेगा, डंडे के बल पे उससे जनरल विल मनवाना है. मैन कैन बी फोर्स्ड टू बी फ्री. कल मैंने एग्जांपल दिया कि आप अगर आंसर नहीं लिखेंगे तो मैं क्या करूंगा, आपको बताया है बाद में और अच्छे से बताऊंगा कि आप कैसे काम करना है, तब आप काम करेंगे. दैट इज द योर लार्जर इंटरेस्ट. Right? If kid does not want to go to school, that child forced to be, and sent to the school, because they will know after reading what is their freedom. Got the idea? So, अगर कोई नहीं मानता है, that man must be forced to be free. उसको फोर्स करो ताकि वो फ्रीडम नहीं जानता है, वो गधा है. राइट? उसको हमें फोर्स करना पड़ेगा फ्रीडम को रियलाइज कराने के लिए. मेकिंग सेंस? ओके, फॉर द टाइम बीइंग. अच्छा, नेक्स्ट कितना होगा? 8th. या देखिए, द जनरल विल इज एब्सोल्यूट, अनडिवाइडेड. द जनरल विल इज एब्सोल्यूट, अनडिवाइडेड, अनलिमिटेड and unalienable. Sovereign power. The general will is, अब देखो कि जनरल विल को कितना पावरफुल बना दिया हॉब्स की तरह. The general will is absolute, unlimited, indivisible, inalienable, sovereign power. इसका मतलब है कि जनरल विल जो कहेगा वो करना पड़ेगा. राइट? अगर कोई इसको फॉलो नहीं करता है, राइट, लिखिए, एक पैरा चेंज कीजिएगा, लिखिएगा, इन रूसो's general will, in Rousseau's general will, in Rousseau's general will, is man free? Is a man, M-A-N, man free? Rousseau said, लिखिए, said, man is born free, but everywhere he's in chain. Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chain. बहुत ही फेमस स्टेटमेंट है. Now you got the idea. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर में कोई चेन नहीं था. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर में मैन was not binded by the chain. He was free. But when we are living in a modern state, right? When you are living in a modern state, we have done social contract to remove the, unfreedom, right? Exploitation of the poor by the rich, right? Then we have formed the body politic that is sovereign, and each person has participated in it. That's very important. Each person has participated in making general will. And once we form the general will, we all should obey. Right? And if someone not obey, then that man can be forced to be free. right? So can you then you caution the Rousseau, have you made the same arrangement that you had in a state of nature? Rousseau will say, no, man is born free, but everywhere is in chain in modern state. Chain, who is a chain? The general will put some constraint on you. Got the idea? It is not a state of nature. It is a modern world, modern participatory democracy he talks about. He talks about participatory democracy. He talks about popular sovereignty. Who is the sovereign power? General will. Who is the maker of the general will? Who makes the general will? Each person. Right? Each person participate in order to make the law, to make the general will and subordinate to that general will. Once you have made the law, you have to subordinate yourself within the law. You have to follow the law. And if you are not following, that means you are diverting from the real will, the real freedom. What is the purpose for creating general will? You know, the purpose was to exercise your freedom, real freedom. Someone may say, I'm a smoke, that's my liberty. No, you don't know what it will impact on your health. You may say, this is my health, this is my body, I can die myself. No, this is not your only body. You are associated with many people in the society. Your parent, your family, right, your relatives. You are not your alone. You are not free. You are binded by so many things. Right? Okay? So individual freedom is not a freedom, but freedom we have to talk about in certain relations. How much I am free. Right? Are you getting point? Yeah. इसको नींद आ रहा है? नहीं. ओके, सो मैं नहीं सोया, पूरी रात लाइट गई है, मैं यहाँ पे मोबाइल चार्ज कर रहा हूँ. कल रात को क्या क्या पता है, कल चोर को पकड़ने में था, परसों स्नैच हो गया ना, कल ही बताया ना, परसों स्नैच हो गया. पुलिस तो कुछ करेगा नहीं, ना एफआईआर किया. फिर मैंने कंप्लेन डाला, उसने कंप्लेन भी नहीं लिया. फिर मैंने यूपी कॉप पे ऑनलाइन जाकर के लॉस्ट में, थेफ्ट में कभी एफआईआर नहीं होता है, वो रिजेक्ट हो गया 3-4 बार. फिर लॉस्ट में एफआईआर डाला. कल जाके मैं ढूंढा कि कहाँ पे सीसीटीवी कैमरा है आसपास, राइट था. आई वेंट टू दैट पर्सन, आई रिक्वेस्टेड हिम, और बोला 7:15 बजे आ जाओ. मैं 7:15 बजे गया. आई टुक इमेजेस और वीडियोस ऑफ दैट snatcher, and I again went to the police station, right, submitted them कि सर ये सब ले लीजिए, शायद आपको हेल्प मिल जाए, आपको मिल जाए चोर. सारा काम दिन में, मैं रात को 9:30-10 बजे आया हूं पुलिस स्टेशन से, और उसके बाद लाइट चली गई. सोचो, राइट, इस अगस्त के महीने में. एनीवे, बट दैट इज अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ लाइफ, दैट हैपेंस. बट आई कैन नॉट से कि यस मैं सोया नहीं हूं, आई कैन स्लीप. नो, आई हैव टू वर्क. मेक अ वर्क एथिक्स. इफ यू हैव एंजॉयड पार्टी, फॉर एग्जांपल, आपने पार्टी एंजॉय किया किसी रात में, हाँ, सुबह अरे यार थक नहीं, यू हैव एंजॉयड, यू हैव टू टेक द पेन. सिंस यू हैव एंजॉयड ऑलरेडी, you have to take the pain. Next day you cannot sleep on the pretext of that party. No, you should work. That is work ethics. Right? ऐसा नहीं कि पार्टी बहुत थका हूं यार, नहीं, आपने एंजॉय किया ना, you enjoyed it, take the pain for the time being. Again you sleep on the time. समय से सो जाइए, फिर से टाइम रेगुलर हो जाता है. फाइन. तो टेंशन नहीं लेना है, लाइफ में काम करते रहना है. राइट? सरकारी बाबू की तरह नहीं. सरकारी बाबू तो बनोगे, लेकिन सरकारी बाबू आईएएस को, ब्यूरोक्रेट को बहुत काम करना पड़ता है. आई एम टेलिंग यू, बट सारे ब्यूरोक्रेट नहीं काम करते, मैं बता दूं. 20% ब्यूरोक्रेट काम करते, 80% नहीं करते. एंड दैट्स ट्रू इन एवरीवेयर. वी कैनॉट इवन 20% भी अच्छे से करते रहे, काम अच्छा से चलता रहेगा. वो भी नहीं होता है कभी कभार. एनीवे, हाँ, ये पता चला जनरल विल. मैन चेन में क्यों है, पता चला. नाउ राइट हिज आइडिया ऑफ popular sovereignty. Right? Popular sovereignty. Rousseau's idea of popular sovereignty. राइट मैंने पड़ोसी को बोला कि यार देखो अब तो पकड़ लेगा, बोले हाँ अब तो पकड़ लेना चाहिए, कम क्या तुम पुलिस को पकड़ के ले आओगे उस चोर को? ले भाई मैं ले आया हूं, अब मुझे बताओ कि इस राइट पुलिस वेरी पैथेटिक एंड आई एम लिविंग इन गाजियाबाद, राइट यूपी पुलिस, यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड यूपी बिहार पुलिस का तो हाल ही बहुत बुरा है, राइट एनीवे बट पुलिस इन जनरल बहुत पैथेटिक है anyway. अब लेकिन उनका अपना अलग प्रॉब्लम है. If you go to the police wala has its own problem. Staff deficit, their condition is not good. I'm telling you, their condition, they are living in subhuman condition. एक ऐसा है वहां 10 पुलिस वाले सो रहे हैं, राइट उनके पास फंड नहीं है, गाड़ी में जाएंगे तेल नहीं है. You need fund ना, without money you cannot work. You need proper fund. Even judiciary, आपको पता है सबसे बड़ा क्राइसिस क्या है जुडिशरी के पास? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, राइट? Only 5% judicial infrastructure has medical facility. Only 5%, right? More than 50% subordinate court, district court have no toilet, functional toilet. कैसे होगा? जब तक बजट में आप पैसे नहीं बढ़ाओगे जुडिशरी कैसे काम करेगी बताओ ना. तो एक तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, स्टाफ डेफिसिट है, बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम है. मैं पुलिस का पर्सपेक्टिव बता रहा हूं कि कैसे वो एफिशिएंटली काम करेंगे. अच्छा बेच देते हैं, वो भी ह्यूमन नेचर है. ये भी ह्यूमन नेचर की फ्यूल है गाड़ी में, उसको 5 लीटर बेच दो. क्या ये होता है? ये होता है. बहुत चीजें कॉम्प्लेक्स है. डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव, वेरी गुड, डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव है चीजों को देखने का, है ना. एनीवे चलो अब हम इसके पॉपुलर सोवरेनिटी पे आते हैं. बाय 24th of August वी विल फिनिश WPT. मैंने चार्ट बना लिया है, 25 चला जाएगा कोई बात नहीं, right? And next 20 days I'll finish the paper section A, right? And again 1.5 months we'll talk about Indian polity, second section, fine, and then we'll proceed. चलो एक चीज मुझे पॉपुलर सोवरेनिटी जाने से पहले मैं हॉब्स की सोवरेनिटी में ले जाऊंगा आपको. मुझे बताइए हॉब्स का सोवरेन पावर कैसा है? हॉब्स का सोवरेन पावर कैसा है? आपने कहा एब्सोल्यूट है. यस, शोभित, ख्याति, नीलेश, राघव, बताइए हॉब्स का सोवरेन पावर कैसा है? सॉरी,
Sir, may I speak?
Yeah.
Sir, he gave power to the Leviathan, which is very strong, absolute, indivisible, and unalienable.
He gave power to a Leviathan. So
Yes.
does Leviathan is a person or it is a democracy? What it is?
Sir, democracy. Monarch.
Hobbes talks about monarchy. He loves monarchy.
Yes,
Monarch,
sir.
na? So he has given power to one person. He had given power to one person, and that is absolute, undivided, inalienable, right? Roger, sorry? Irrevocable, yeah. Here, same here, you can find sovereign power is absolute, undivided, perpetual, inalienable, irrevocable. Here you can find, but he gives power to not to single person, but to a body politic, where each person will participate, right? Where each participant, so he has given power to a body politic. ये क्या लिख रहा हूं, ठीक ही लिख रहा हूं, बॉडी इधर लिख देता हूं, body politic, and where each person, now you here can, what kind of sovereignty Hobbes has established. I had talked about. If we talked about Hobbes, what kinds of sovereignty he established? That day I talked about. Even that is mentioned in your handout. Hard copy, soft copy, सब है आपके पास अब.
It is irrevocable.
Sorry?
It is irrevocable.
Yeah, it is irrevocable, absolute, undivided, it's fine. But what is the kind of sovereignty is this? I didn't talk about monistic. It's called monistic sovereignty.
Yes, sir.
When the sovereignty lies in one person, and that person is above the law, right? And this, if that means this sovereignty is called monistic. Means mono मतलब क्या होता है? एक होता है ना, monotheism. You follow one God, right? Monistic concept of sovereignty. Now here you can see Rousseau had given popular sovereignty, means sovereignty in the people. Sovereignty in the people, right? So that is called popular sovereignty. He provided idea of popular, popular sovereignty. When sovereignty lies in the hand of the people, right, then it is called popular sovereignty. He was the pioneer of the idea of popular sovereignty. याद है ना सोवर्निटी कहाँ पढ़ाया था? याद है थोड़ा? आपके हैंड आउट में भी है. टुडे यू गो एंड रीड अबाउट मोनेस्टिक सोवर्निटी. सब थियरी में आएगा. उस वक्त मुझे बोलोगे सर ये नहीं पढ़ा, वो नहीं देखा. अभी टाइम है, खूब अच्छे से पढ़ो, ठीक है? जब इंडियन पॉलिटिक्स पढ़ोगे इतना बड़ा कंटेंट होगा, ठीक है? टाइम भी कम होगा और पढ़ने का यहाँ पे कंटेंट कम है, सोचने का ज्यादा है. यहाँ लिमिटेड पेज नंबर, बट you have to read it, think it, right? Do mental exercise. So he has proposed monastic idea of sovereignty. It means when a sovereignty lies in the hand of one people, right? And if that people is above than the law, then it is called monastic sovereignty. Who are the other thinkers who proposed the same idea? John Bode, right? And John Austin. तीन लोगों का नाम जरूर रखना जब मोनिस्टिक सोवर्निटी की बात करते हैं. हॉब्स, जॉन बोडी और जॉन ऑस्टिन. नाउ कम टू द पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी. थोड़ा लिख ही लीजिए, स्टार्ट राइटिंग. समझा दिया कि when the sovereignty lie in the hand of the people, it is called popular sovereignty. लिखिए, Rousseau offers a theory of social contract and theory of social contract, and this contract gives birth to general will. General will. Fine. What is general will? Right. What is general will? What is general will? Give the question mark. Right. It is a real will of all members of the society. And this is a source of all law. This is a source of all law, authority, and power. it is formed by each individual. It means people are sovereign. It means people are sovereign. Right? It means people are sovereign. Fine. It means people are sovereign. ठीक है? पैरा चेंज कीजिए, लिखिए Rousseau supports a government. Rousseau supports a government. It may be monarchy, aristocracy, or democracy. It may be monarchy, aristocracy, or democracy, but its right to rule, is derived from the people. From the people. Government is legitimate. Government is legitimate until it fulfills the will of the people. Will of the people. Until it fulfills the will of the people. और कौन सा will? Particular will नहीं, real will. Will of the people. देखिए, like Hobbes, Rousseau's sovereign power is unlimited. Rousseau's sovereign power is unlimited, permanent, indivisible, inalienable, irrevocable, जो भी वर्ड यूज करना है, irrevocable. आप जजेस को देखते हैं कितना वर्ड यूज करते हैं वो, एक जज होता है ना, आप उनके जजमेंट पढ़ना, irrevocable, but unlike Hobbes, Rousseau vested power, vested, vested power in the hand of people. हॉब्स ने क्या कर दिया? एक इंसान में सारी सोवर्निटी डाल दी. What Hobbes did? Hobbes ने क्या किया? What Hobbes did? ताई Hobbes concentrated power in one person, that is monarchy, right? Isn't it? But Rousseau vested power in the hands of the people. Now, write one more line. Rousseau preferred direct democracy. Rousseau preferred direct democracy. In which all people should involve themselves. बस हो गया, पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी खत्म. समझ में आया पॉपुलर सोवर्निटी का क्या मतलब है? प्रीएम्बल में जो लिखा है, वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया हैविंग solemnly resolved India to constitute India to sovereign, secular, socialist, democratic republic and to secure all its citizen, liberty जो भी है, liberty, equality, fraternity, है ना, justice पहले है वर्ड, justice, social, economic and political, है ना, liberty of thoughts, expression जो भी है. मुझे चलो, तो ये पता चल गया इसका आइडिया। मेकिंग सेंस क्लियर है? नीलेश, राघव, ख्याति, हर्षिता, हर्ष, तबियत, मेकिंग सेंस? फाइन, चलिए क्लियर है ना? चलो बहुत बढ़िया है, क्लियर है तो बस मेरा सवाल बना के देना, मैं रूसो खत्म हो जाएगा। और क्लियर है तो मुझे भी क्लियर करो, मेरा काम ड्यू मत रखो, डोंट ड्यू माय वर्क, मतलब योर ऑब्लिगेशन टुवर्ड्स मी, योर ऑब्लिगेशन इज टू सबमिट द आंसर्स। फाइन, नाउ राइट Rousseau's contribution to Rousseau's contribution to क्या हो रहा है, लिख नहीं रहा है, contribution, ये देखो, वाह वाह वाह, बहुत बढ़िया। अच्छा छोड़ो इसको। कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द आइडिया ऑफ पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी, द आइडिया ऑफ पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी। जब डेमोक्रेसी पढ़ाऊंगा तो रूसो का हमारा काम आएगा वहां पर, पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी में स्पेशली। लाइफ जितना आसान हो ना उतना बढ़िया लाइफ होता है। हाँ, अब देखो वही टेक्नीशियन आके करेगा तो फिर चलेगा ये। लाइफ जितना लाइफ सिंपल है उतना बढ़िया लाइफ होता है, राइट? बट एनीवे, राइट, देखिए, द मोस्ट सेलिब्रेटेड फॉर्म ऑफ पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी, राइट इट, द मोस्ट सेलिब्रेटेड form of participatory democracy, the most celebrated form of participatory democracy began in the most celebrated form of participatory democracy began in ancient Greek city-state. Ancient Greek city-state where citizens used to participate, where citizens used to participate in lawmaking, comma, holding offices, and holding political and magistrate position in the state. Right? In the para, Rousseau suggested that individual should participate in making law and obeying the same law. Making the law and obeying the same law. आपने एक बार लॉ बना दिया, अपने आप को अधीन कर देना लॉ के अंदर. ठीक है, लिख लिया? कुछ छूटा तो बताना. राइट? Individuals are free in real sense. Individuals are free in real sense when they participate actively in shaping the community's life. The community's life. Community. The community's life. Further, Rousseau argues, individuals should debate, discuss, and deliberate. Debate, discuss simple है, deliberation use है तो होता है word. हाँ, deliberate the real will of the society. The real will of the society. The government should give priority only to real will. The government should give priority only to real will. Rousseau was very critical to liberal democracy. In which people's representative take participation in making law. Rousseau was very critical to liberal democracy in which people's representative take participation in making law. Fine? He said consent given by the people only once in 5 years is not good idea. It's not a good idea. Right? Everyday consent of the people is necessary. ठीक है, हो गया, done. He was critical to liberal democracy, liberal representative democracy, and he was supporter of participatory democracy, जहां पर सब लोग participate करते हैं. Right? You remember Aristotle talks about in Greek city-state that each citizen should participate in making law, right? Shaping the community life, holding offices. Fine. Similarly, Rousseau said, no, we should go for the participatory डेमोक्रेसी। एक आइडिया और है, व्हाट इज रूसोज आइडिया ऑफ फ्रीडम, राइट, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। लिखिए रूसोज आइडिया ऑफ फ्रीडम। देखो अब लिख रहा है, पता नहीं। Rousseau's idea of freedom. Can I take a 5-minute break? Yeah, 5 minutes only, so that I can change the battery and I can be ready for again. Now, what he talks about freedom, Rousseau. Whatever I have taught you, what he talks about freedom. Any idea, any clue?
Like he says that everyone should be free. Then he says, but if one is not likely to be free, one should be forced to be free. So how is it giving freedom to a person? So for me, it's like
Arrogant.
ironical.
Ironical. Fine.
In my view.
Fine. See what happened. General will का ये बता देता हूँ, उसके बाद criticism करेंगे इनका. General will, have you heard about Hitler? Adolf Hitler. He wrote a book. What is that? That name? Mein Kampf. Yeah. Mein Kampf. He quoted Rousseau. Right? Adolf Hitler wrote his book Mein Kampf and he quoted Rousseau. Right? And he quoted his idea of general will to justify his rule. Because if you see his idea of general will, it is a body politic, right? And once people have already given, right? Now this general body politic becomes a dictator, because this body politic is absolute, inalienable, unquestionable, right? No, unlimited, irrevocable, right? So if you see the popular government, when the popular government means people make the government, and this government is popular. Like Hitler government is very popular, right? The people used to say Führer, right? When he used to just like this, people like this, oh Führer, right? And even if you are single doing like this, you are marked out. Who are you? That means you are not following the popular will. This is a particular will, but this is a general will. And you are marked out, you can be eliminated. Right? And he is given to the power to the people. At the same time, he made the power absolute, irrevocable, inalienable, right? Permanent. Right? So he was also absolutist. For example, मान लो कि एक एग्जाम्पल लेते कि आपने क्या किया, लोगों ने पॉपुलर गवर्नमेंट बना दी, हमने पॉपुलर गवर्नमेंट बना दी, अब उस गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, कुछ रूल लाया, पॉपुलर लोगों के लिए वो बहुत अच्छा है, बट व्हाट अबाउट minority and other groups? He had given no space to the will of the minority. Basically, it is a tyranny of the majority. We'll talk about later. But पहले इसका थोड़ा सा जनरल विल क्रिटिसाइज करने से पहले हमें फ्रीडम, वो क्रिटिक है, क्या नाम है, हर्षिमरन, बट इनका फ्रीडम का आइडिया जो है मैं बताता हूं. फ्रीडम का आइडिया बहुत अच्छा है. क्यों अच्छा है मैं बताता हूं. What he talks about freedom, he talks about freedom for happiness. Freedom for happiness. Yes, Nilesh, do you want to say anything? Anyway, now he talks about to will. That's fine. To will, human will, he talks about. Actual or particular? और ये है real will. Now we should obey the real will. For example, I have instinct to smoke cigarette. This is my lower self. But the higher self will say, no, don't smoke. It will causes cancer and it will also pollute the environment. So for you and others also. So realizing the self, you realize what you are, what you should do. For example, अगर आप घर पे गए और फिर रख दिया किताब, राइट, और चले गए खेलने, चले गए मूवी देखने, मोबाइल है ही, नेटफ्लिक्स खोला, राइट, और कौन सोनी लिव ऐप, नेटफ्लिक्स, अमेजन प्राइम आता है ना, खोल के कुछ देखने लगे, पंचायत देखने लगे, बहुत नए नए सीरीज आ रहे हैं, एंड यू आर हैप्पी. That is your particular will. You realize yourself what you should do. You should obey that. Realizing the self, realizing the higher self is a true freedom. Are you getting my point? Right? That is the true meaning of freedom. Even Gandhi said similar thing. Right? His idea of freedom is very positive one. It's very positive. Isn't it? How can you realize yourself? Right? You should obey the higher self of our soul. Right? For example, telling truth, doing good to the people, right? Righteousness, not doing something which may, willingly. आपको पता है कि इसका जो असर है गड़बड़ होगा. कभी कभी चावल भी गड़बड़ करता है ना, even eating sometime rice, not for all, but there are people, doctor stops eating rice. Okay, don't eat rice more. Don't eat sugar. Sugar, many people have that. Yeah, so you must realize what I should do, what I should supposed to do, and you should do that. Got the idea? That is the true meaning of freedom, he's saying. Avoid it. Avoid it. Exactly, morality. Exactly, morality. But even your soul may tell something. Morality means right. हो सकता है right ये भी लगे आपको. But actual right is you realize that things. Right? You realize yourself. Right? And it is a very positive notion of freedom. Yeah.
Like for example, if we talk about a child, he wants to sleep, he wants to play, that's his comfort zone. But we are telling, according to the religion, go study. So that must be kind of uncomfortable for the child. So like I can make it out that he's somewhere.
No, I had given you example. See, he will not say don't go to and play. He will not say don't go and sleep. If it is better for you, you go and sleep. You must sleep. If you play, it's better. You must play, but don't play gamble. Don't enter into gamble. Play, that's fine. Don't enter into gamble. Right? स्टडी तो मैंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया है बच्चों का कि नहीं जाना चाहते स्कूल, वो तो मैंने एग्जाम्पल दिया. बच्चों को खेलना भी अच्छा है, राइट? प्ले, सिंगिंग, म्यूजिक, इट्स गुड, राइट? Fine. So, okay, play, but don't enter into gamble. Fine. So, his idea of freedom is a positive freedom. समझ में आया इतना कि नहीं आया? आया? His idea of freedom is a very positive one. Yeah. Please increase thickness of pen when you write. Sure, I will do that. Yeah. Now, should I write again? This is human will, human's will. Again, the two types of will we talked about, actual will or particular will and the real will. Real will is the realizing the self, the realizing the higher self, right? It is a very good notion of yourself and you should do this, right? You know Gandhi ends and means. Gandhi said, if your means is bad, your ends cannot be good. अगर आपका रास्ता ही गड़बड़ है, आपका जो लक्ष्य है कभी सही नहीं हो सकता. Unlike Machiavelli. Similar, he said, you know, you have to follow that. Particular will तो बोलेगा कि चलो यार कुछ एग्जाम में ऐसा कुछ तिक्रम लगाते हैं, राइट? मुन्ना भाई एमबीबीएस की तरह, बस वहां पर मिल जाए. मन तो यही करता है. But realizing the self, you yourself upgrade to that stature. You yourself upgrade to that stature that you become a bureaucrat. Right? UPSC will love you. Okay, आ जाओ मेरे पास आ जाओ. वो था ना कौन सा 3 Idiot का था, एक्सेलेंसी बढ़ाओ एक्सेलेंसी, सब कुछ डायलॉग था. Fine. So you just upgrade yourself to that extent. UPSC welcomes you. Will welcome you. Okay, come. You are the right candidate. Right. So he's giving very yeah. Please increase thickness of your pen. I think, is it fine now? Should I dictate? चलिए लिखिए. Rousseau ideas of freedom. Rousseau idea of freedom is to exercise and obey the will. The will, right? When a person sidelines the actual will, when a person sidelines particular will and follow the real will, that is को ऐसे लिखना, हाँ, that is the higher self of the soul, then he is free. True freedom means realizing the higher self. True freedom means realizing the higher self. Right? It is a very positive concept of freedom. Right? Freedom means salvation Salvation, freedom means salvation from unfreedom. Salvation from unfreedom and obeying the general will. जनरल विल हो गया, डन. थोड़ा सा और लिख लीजिए, पैरा चेंज करके लिखिए. लिखिए लाइक गांधी, थोड़ा सा गांधी से रिलेट कर देता हूं. हाँ, लाइक गांधी, रूसो gave importance to realization of self. Realization of self. We should follow righteousness. RIGHTOUNESS. We should follow righteousness. Speak truth. Speak truth. And obey the general law. General law. But हो गया. ठीक है, आइए अब इनकी हम ऐसी की तैसी करते हैं. अब इनका अच्छा थोड़ा सा इकट्ठा लिखा दे तो लिखिए क्रिटिकल इवैल्यूएशन. पीटी करने के बाद एक ऊपर से टैबलेट दूंगा, वो जरूर लेके जाना एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में. कितना भी पढ़ा दूं, once your PT done, if you just consult me, on each topic will give you something more. ठीक है, तो एग्जाम देने से पहले वो जरूरी होता है. और टेस्ट सीरीज जरूर करना. अभी जो भी प्रैक्टिस करना है करो, टेस्ट सीरीज ज्वाइन करना, चाहे इधर करो चाहे कहीं भी करो. फाइन, बहुत जरूरी है. लिखिए क्रिटिकल इवैल्यूएशन. अच्छा, मुझे लिखवा ही देने दो, आप लोगों से पूछने से अच्छा है. लिखिए Rousseau has romanticized the state of nature. नहीं किया है रोमांटिसाइज. Rousseau has romanticized the state of nature. Right? Man cannot be such a good human being even in a state of nature, and cannot be so bad like Hobbesian human nature. ठीक है, इंसान इतना अच्छा नहीं हो सकता जितना रूसो ने बताया है, उतना बुरा भी नहीं होता जैसे हॉब्स ने बताया है. क्या लिखा? As Rousseau predicts, and cannot be bad as Hobbes predicts. As Hobbes predicts. इसका मतलब समझ में आया कि रूसो ने रोमांटिसाइज किया है मामला को. ह्यूमन इतना भी अच्छा नहीं होता है जितना रूसो ने कहा है. इंसान उतना भी बुरा नहीं होता जितना हॉब्स ने कहा है. Got the idea? Right? His idea of property, same para. His idea of property and society seems a utopian idea. A utopian idea. देखिए, however कि एक इंसान आया और ऐसे लैंड घेर लिया और बोला ये मेरा प्रॉपर्टी है और सबने घेरा घेरी कर ली, राइट? इट इज अ यूटोपियन आइडिया. However, देखिए, the great thinker like Marx, has borrowed the idea of private property, private property and origin of inequality from Rousseau. हो गया? ठीक है. मार्क्स, राइट टू इनहेरिटेंस अगर कहा है तो मुझे आइडिया अभी नहीं आ रहा दिमाग में, राइट? मुझे नहीं आ रहा, बाद में देखेंगे अगर ऐसा कुछ है तो. यू गॉट द आइडिया? सेकेंड पॉइंट यू राइट. Rousseau, through his idea of general will, established a popular democracy. This form of government is very powerful. Its power is unlimited, undivided, inalienable, irrevocable, permanent. It can force to people. It can force to people or group. Okay. Consequently, it gives birth to a totalitarian state or authoritarian state. Gave to birth to authoritarian state. Right? देखिए, Adolf Hitler in his book Mein Kampf, quoted Rousseau in order to justify his brutality. His brutality. Done? Rousseau gave the idea of unfreedom on the name of freedom. Actually, रूसो ने जो आइडिया दिया है, राइट, वो अगर सही में पॉपुलर गवर्नमेंट इस तरह से रूल करने लगे, इंसान घुट के मर जाएगा उसमें, बिकॉज यू विल बी फोर्स्ड टू बी फ्री, यू डोंट हैव any alternative except follow the government, right? Then okay, next point. Rousseau wants direct democracy. Rousseau wants direct participatory democracy. Rousseau wants participatory democracy, which is not possible in modern time. In modern time, वो कहता है representative democracy flawed है. लेकिन Rousseau argued that representative democracy is flawed. Rousseau said that representative democracy is flawed, but in reality, there are more than 120 nation states. In reality, there are more than 120 states practicing representative democracy. Then, लिखिए, Alan Bloom, next point. Alan Bloom said that Rousseau's political thought, Alan Bloom said that Rousseau's political thought has paradoxical character. Paradoxical character. The paradoxical nature of Rousseau's philosophy is due to language he uses. Language due to he uses, like man can be forced to be free. सुना है ऐसा कहीं इंसान को man can be forced to be free, or man is born free, man is born free and everywhere he is in chain. पैराडॉक्सिकल के कह रहा है कि ठीक है भाई, फ्री बॉर्न हुआ लेकिन चेन में हो, दैट्स पैराडॉक्सिकल. आप बहुत अच्छे जी हैं लेकिन बहुत गंदी है आप. क्या मतलब है, राइट? तो मैन कैन बी फोर्स्ड बट फ्री. फाइन, ठीक है, एक लाइन और लिख लीजिए. Rousseau's philosophy Rousseau's philosophy was product of his time, product of his time. It was very influential. It was very influential. It influenced the later generation of political philosophers. It influenced the later generation of political philosophers like Marx, like Karl Marx. Like Karl Marx. Rousseau's idea of social contract, Rousseau's idea of social contract and its call C-A-L-L, its call, Rousseau's idea of social contract and its call for liberty, equality and fraternity, liberty, equality and fraternity among all citizens, and its call for liberty, equality and fraternity among all citizens was the foremost ideological influence behind the French Revolution. Call for liberty, equality and fraternity among all citizens was the foremost ideological influence behind the French Revolution. रूसो का कथा समाप्त हो गया. हाँ, कथा सुनने जाते हैं लोग? नहीं जाते हैं? आश्रम में कथा सुनते हैं. अच्छा, आज मैं आपको सावित्री का कथा सुनाता हूं. आज मैं आपको कृष्ण की, अर्जुन की कथा सुनाता हूं. यहां पर तो कथा ही चल रहा है. कभी प्लेटो का कथा, कभी एरिस्टोटल का कथा, कभी हॉब्स का कथा, अभी रूसो का कथा समाप्त हो गया. राइट? या आपको लोगों को कथा क्लियर है? यस नीलेश, राघव, शोभित, ख्याति, हर्षिता, हर्ष. जब ये कथा क्लियर है तब दूसरी कथा शुरू करते हैं. और वो कथा है, राइट, जैस्मिल. जैस्मिल. बट जैस्मिल को पढ़ने से पहले थोड़ा सा हमें इनके जो गुरुजी हैं उनका नाम है जर्मी बैंथम. Jeremy Bentham was a very profound scholar of jurisprudence. He was a scholar of law. Law मतलब पता है ना? And you see the time, he again 1748 to 1832. Now we are entering into 18th-19th century. Rousseau was the philosopher of 18th century. Hobbes was philosopher of 17th century. Hobbes Locke. 18th century पूरे 100 साल में एक पढ़ा है, एक लोगों को नहीं, रूसो को. अब नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जो फिलोसोफर है जर्मी बेंथम, 1748 to 1832. Now you can see here, this time in the West, society already transformed. इस टाइम पे सोसाइटी बदल गया था. क्या बदल गया था सोसाइटी? थोड़ा थोड़ा मैंने बात किया था right? There was before, in a medieval age, the society was agrarian society, right? But what we call modernity, there was several changes, right? Changes in literature, changes in philosophy, changes in also economic structure, right? So during this time, the agrarian system was actually changed, and the new city already established, right? The landed class came to the city and established factory. They became owner, right? And the serf who was there in the hinterland, they also came to the city, and they, in the city, they form labor. They become the labor. अभी भी होता है ना गांव में, शहर में जब फैक्ट्री आती है तो मालिक उनके ऑफ कोर्स धनाढ़ होते हैं, जो मालिक होता है उसके पास बहुत पैसा होता है, और जो गांव से लोग आते हैं वो लेबर का काम करते हैं, है ना? ऐसे समाज बदला है. पहले एग्रीकल्चरल सोसाइटी थी, बाद में आके क्या हुआ कि चीजें बदली. क्या क्या बदला? बहुत कुछ बदला. साइंस एंड टेक भी बदला, बड़े बड़े मशीन आए, बड़े बड़े इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हुए, बदले, राइट? रोड बना, फैक्ट्री डली, राइट? अर्बन सोसाइटी बनी, सब एक जगह पे आए, जिसको अर्बन सोसाइटी बोलते हैं. व्हाट इज अर्बन सोसाइटी? अर्बन सोसाइटी इज ए कांग्रेगेशन ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी. People come from all the Delhi. I'm from Bihar. He's from Arunachal. Someone may from Uttarakhand. Someone may from UP. Someone may from Maharashtra. Someone may from, right? City is a congregation of diversity, a different kind of diversity, isn't it? But गांव में नहीं मिलेगा. अगर मैं चला जाऊं गढ़वाल तो वहां सारे गढ़वाली बोलेंगे, है ना? अगर तुम बिहार चलो जाओगे तो वहां पर सब भोजपुरी बोलेंगे. सब नहीं, भोजपुरी मतलब पर्टिकुलर पार्ट में. सिमिलरली महाराष्ट्र में चले जाओ, वहां सब मराठा बोलेंगे, वहां होमोजेनिटी मिलेगी. बट सिटी इज a space, it is a congregation of diversity, diversity of culture, right? जब डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ कल्चर होगी, डाइवर्स सोसाइटी होगी. यहां पर लोगों ने इंडस्ट्री डाले. इंडस्ट्री किसने डाला? जिसके पास लैंड था. गांव में लैंड बेच दिया, आया शहर में मशीन खरीदा, बिठाया, शहर में छोटा सा लैंड खरीदा और वहां पे मशीन डाला. मशीन आया, लोगों को बुलाया, राइट? प्रोसेस शुरू. एक फैक्ट्री से दूसरी फैक्ट्री, दूसरी फैक्ट्री से तीसरी फैक्ट्री. सरकार को बोला जी इधर ड्रेनेज बनाओ, इधर रोड बनाओ, इधर वो बनाओ, राइट? दैट इज अर्बन सोसाइटी, राइट? और जो वो मालिक है उसको क्या कहा? बुर्जुआजी. उसका टर्म है एक बुर्जुआजी. क्या कहते हैं उसको? बुर्जुआजी. और जो लेबर है उसको क्या कहते हैं? प्रोलिटारिएट. क्लियर है क्या? पक्का क्लियर है? ये सब कुछ बता दिया था, राइट? बिफोर टीचिंग हॉब्स आई थिंक वी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑल. अब इस अर्बन सोसाइटी में, वेस्ट में, अभी वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट की बात कर रहे हैं, वेस्ट प्योरली अर्बन सोसाइटी बन रहा था, right? It was time of capitalism. Capitalism means the honor, property right, for example, property right was justified, and Jeremy Bentham was supporter of capitalism and individual freedom like John Locke. Jeremy Bentham was a supporter of individual freedom, right to property like John Locke. And he was also favor of capitalism. What is capitalism? Means free market society. What is capitalism? Free market society. Market should be free, right? And he was an advocate of new entrepreneurs. New entrepreneurs, right? And he has given, he has given a theory, a very renowned theory. Will come to later. थोड़ा सा बता देता हूँ. और अब देखिए इस टाइम पे इंग्लैंड में राजा का शासन, राजा का पावर कम हो रहा था. The powers of the king was declining. The power of aristocrat was also declining. Democracy was promoting. Democracy was increasing. Jeremy Bentham, John Locke, they all were philosophers of democracy, representative democracy. Right? So who needs the representation? The new class, the new emerging class. Who are the emerging class? The bourgeoisie class. Right? So now even you see, the right to vote was given and right to vote was extended to the property class first. Then educated class go and sorted, okay, मुझे क्यों नहीं चाहिए, उसको भी चाहिए. Now this society became a bourgeois society where right to vote was given to the propertied class and educated class. Now this philosopher John Locke and Jeremy Bentham argued to give representation to the new emerging entrepreneurship class in the parliament, and that's why they supported representative democracy, right? Or democracy. Otherwise king to अपने ताव में था, हमारा शासन चलेगा. We have seen, I think before Hobbes भी देखा हमने, Locke भी देखा, कैसे लड़ाई लड़ी उन्होंने. Fine. Now इतना बताने के बाद एक चीज इन्होंने कहा कि देखिए जिंदगी में दो ही चीज है, पूरे जीवन में there is only two things in life. One is pain, other is pleasure. Right? This was the not new philosophy. Let me tell you. If you if you know the Greek city-state, we talked about Greek city-state. I did not introduce you what is Epicurean philosophy because आपके syllabus में नहीं है. The Epicurean used to say that there are two sovereign masters in life. One is pleasure and the other is pain. He borrowed, Jeremy Bentham borrowed that idea from the Epicurean philosophy, and he said that there are two sovereign masters in nature. One is pleasure and other is pain. Everyone loves pleasure. Even we saw Hobbes, he think pleasure सबको अच्छा लगता है. रूसो को देखा, pleasure सबको अच्छा लगता है. लॉक को देखा, सबको अच्छा लगता है कि happiness रहना किसको अच्छा नहीं लगता है, right? और सब चाहते हैं कि दुखी हमसे दूर रहे, right? Everyone wants to avoid pain. Pain should stay away. तुम मरो जा करके, मुझे मस्त में रहने दो, खुशी में रहने दो, right? अगर ये आइडिया है, right? Why it can be utilized? If pleasure is an idea, good idea, then it can be utilized, right? It may have utility. It may have utility. What? Pleasure. Right? If pleasure has utility, then if there is any government, if there is a government, then government should promote it. If there is a pleasure and pleasure has utility, then government should promote the pleasure, right? And minimize pain. Minimize pain. Should I give you example here? But abstract idea लगता है, pleasure, pain. Example. I told you this is a phase of capitalism. What is profit? Profit is a pleasure, isn't it? You'll get money, you'll be happy. Government should concentrate for the profit. What is the pain? Mean more tax. Yeah, more taxes or loss. More taxes or loss, maybe pain, give you pain, then government should formalize the law that should be, impose very, very less taxes. Very, very less taxes. Jitna kam tax ho utna, minimal tax. So that it can make happy to the people. Which people? The capitalists, the entrepreneurs. Right? So government should make law in order to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. government should make a law that should minimize pain and maximize pleasure, because pleasure has its own utility. And this idea, philosophy, is called utilitarian philosophy. Right? Utilitarian philosophy. What does it mean by utilitarian philosophy? Whatever it is a utility, everyone should, or government should follow this. Government should make policy program, welfare program, so that it can give maximum happiness to the maximum number. We cannot please everyone. It is not possible. If you think that you can please everyone, it's an absurd idea. You cannot please everyone. You can please to the maximum people. Should I give you an example? Okay, let's take an example. You are a train pilot. You are a train pilot running your train here, right? And there are tracks. Have you been to train पे चढ़ा है ना कभी? ऐसे अलग अलग डायरेक्शन में ट्रैक होता है, देखा है ना कभी? जाता है? You are train pilot, right? And you supposed to go that like this. But you have seen that 5 people are sleeping here. Oh no, wait, गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. 5 people are sleeping here. 5 people are sleeping here, but only 2 people are sleeping here. They think it is a time of pandemic, COVID pandemic. People knew that the government has stopped all train, and people have started going from track, following the track, and in between, government has given you the freight train, the goods train, to carry on to the Maharashtra. Now, in between, you have seen 5 people are sleeping on the track. Here you can see 2 people. Here you can see 1 people sleeping. But your direction you should go like this. So, will you follow this line, or will you go this, or you will divert this train here? Why? Huh? Less people? That means you are minimizing the pain. It means you are minimizing the pain, right? But whose fault is this? The fault is 5 people's fault. But you are किसी का गलती किसी के सर पे मर रहे हो. Anyway, I'm not going to that सीधा critique में. You'll follow this because you will minimize the pain and maximize the gain, maximize the pleasure. Everyone will follow this, right? He said, all pleasure is good. Man is self-interested. Sorry? You need break. अच्छा, ट्रेन ब्रेक नहीं, ट्रेन फेल हो गया, ब्रेक फेल हो गया, मैंने आपको नहीं बताया. अच्छा, ब्रेक फेल हो गया. ब्रेक फेल हो गया and you intended to go here. Now you're in hurry. इधर देखा 2 लोग, इधर देखा 5 लोग, इधर देखा 1 लोग. Right, ट्रेन फेल हो गया. Now अब किसको क्या करेंगे आप? आप भी क्या करेंगे बताइए? यहां ले जाएंगे, यहां ले जाएंगे, यहां ले जाएंगे. 5 को मार देंगे. हाँ, ले क्या करोगे ख्याति तुम? ये तो बड़ा दुविधा वाली बात है. ये इधर से बोल रहा है क्योंकि सर इधर ही जाना है तो हम इधर ही जाएंगे. गलती तो नहीं, कोई भी जन आप बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि मैं बोल दिया हूं, क्योंकि आप इसका गलती इसको क्यों देंगे? नहीं, जनरली इंसान का टेंडेंसी होता है कि वो कम हार्म को देखे. नहीं, आप एक तरफ आपका 25,000 जा रहा हो और एक आपका 3,000 जा रहा हो, लेकिन 25,000 वाला जाना जायज है, राइट? बट आप क्या करेंगे? जाना जो है लेस जाए यार, कैसे भी हो. 3,000 रुपया चला जाए कोई दिक्कत नहीं, 25,000 बच जाए. नहीं, के लिए भी एग्जांपल दूं, रुको। You are employed somewhere. You are employed, right? And government taxes as per your income करता है ना, right? So 3 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakh ऐसे टैक्स बढ़ता है, right? You are in a private job or you are employed, regular employment like government employment. Now आप अगर मान लो जी कि आपका 20 लाख है या 10 लाख है, मान लीजिए 10 लाख पे कितना परसेंट बनता है? अप्रोक्सीमेटली 25% आपका पूरे साल का टैक्स बनता है। फाइन, ठीक है। दूसरा आइडिया है कि आप एम्प्लॉयड हो, आप ये नहीं दिखा रहे हो, आप देख रहे हो कि आप सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड हो, बट यू आर वर्किंग टू समवन, वर्किंग फॉर समवन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। यहां पर टैक्स बनता है आपका करीब 1.5 लाख के आसपास। हो गया 1.5 लाख? नहीं, 1 2 3 4, अब हुआ शायद नहीं, हाँ। और यहां पर टैक्स बनता है आपका 25,000 जब आप सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड दिखा रहे हो तब। कौन सा दिखाओगे तुम? या कोई भी इंसान कैसे दिखे? कौन दिखाएगा? कंसल्टेंट वाला दिखाएगा या ये वाला दिखाएगा? बताओ। 25 वाला दिखाएगा, क्योंकि यहां पर उसको पेन कम हो रहा है, गेन ज्यादा हो रहा है। द नेचुरल फिलॉसफी। आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? If you are engaged in some private sector, say कि no, I will fulfill all services, but keep me as a self-employed, as a consultant. सुना है कंसल्टेंट का जॉब लगता है आजकल, बड़ा ही चल रखा है कंसल्टेंट, सुना है ना? क्योंकि आपको 10 लाख पे 25,000 मत लगेगा, सोचिए ना। अब इंसान इधर ये वाला दिखाएगा टैक्स वाले के, ये वाला दिखाएगा, बताइए। बट ये जायज है, दिखाना ये चाहिए। जायज कौन है? लीगल ये है। लेकिन आप दिखा क्या रहे? ये वाला। तुम ये वाला दिखाओगे